Everybody, I think we lost Kevin. Kevin's abstracted.
Oh no,
Oh no,
Kevin!
not Kevin.
Oh,
Kevin!
everybody but Kevin. Kevin's our kinger, man. We need our kinger.
Oh no, oh no.
He's gone. And then he's
Oh man.
back.
Okay.
Okay, I think I'm good now.
Hey.
Okay, yeah,
There
now
we go.
recording.
All right, I'll let you handle this, Kevin, since you will be their host.
Alrighty, well, hello everyone. Welcome to Voices of Sonic Revolution, featuring DietDrKelp and the ultimate voice actors here at the Serenity Spring Festival. Why don't we have our two guests introduce themselves?
So this isn't being streamed.
No, it's not being streamed. It's being recorded.
See, that was. I just wanted that question answered. Okay. Kelp, you want to go first?
By all means, after you.
Well, normally the pawn goes before the king, but okay. Hi everyone. I'm the ultimate
Nobody
voice
cares.
actor.
Anyway, hi. Go ahead.
Nah. You're just upset I got you. Anyway, I'm the ultimate voice actor. I am a semi-active voice actor in the Sonic community. I am rivals with this idiot over here, and I do YouTube content creation. At least I used to. It's just in the back burner right now, and I do a little bit of voice acting as well.
Yes, and I am, as he mentioned, his vastly superior rival.
I never said vastly superior. These are lies.
You intended it. But
I did
anyway,
not.
I'm DietDrKelp. I am also a voice actor. I do a lot of different voices in the Sonic community, primarily known for Shadow and Silver. But I voice a lot of different characters: Clutch the Opossum, I Mimic the Octopus, I forget exactly some of the characters I voice. But anyway, yeah, I'm in Revolution. I'm Clutch, Silver, and Shadow, and I enjoy doing that a lot. I voiced in a lot of Sylvain's content alongside Blue Moon 88 in partnership with Gab Sam. I'm a part of Adrenaline Dubs. Yeah, and I'm in tons of different projects that I try to be active, I try to stay active, and all that sort of stuff. So if there's interesting projects, chances are you might hear me in them.
Meanwhile,
What?
I'm taking a back step, so you'll probably hear him more often than me, but that just only makes me coming back all the more sweeter. So
It makes you responsible because you're doing the responsible thing, which everyone can respect.
I mean that's fair.
Yeah, indeed. Well, let's hear your origin story. How did you get started with your
You want the
voice
long version or
acting?
the short version?
Either way.
Because with Ultimate, you're probably going to want the short version.
Oh,
Yeah.
boy.
And even then, it's not very short.
No, it's not. It never is.
Like the short version is like watching the
You're already rambling on. Get on with it.
Okay. Well, it started a long time ago.
Oh my god, no one cares.
I was dropped as a little kid. I'm kidding. So some have theorized. So for me, it started back in 2020 with the whole metal virus and stuff. Oh, excuse me, the COVID virus and stuff, and all that happening all across the world. And I was stuck inside, and I was bored. And I got into Sonic around that same time. I think a few years before the COVID hit. And I decided, out of sheer boredom and also trying to figure out where I wanted to go in life, just to dive into maybe comic dubs and voice acting. And so I think, in my opinion, I think the Sonic the Hedgehog franchise is a really great place to start that. Because you don't see it a lot, in my opinion, in a lot of other different fandoms. I think Mario may be a little better for that. Like, on the same par as Sonic, but anywhere else, I don't really see it a lot. But anyways, where I got my start, started off as this hot-headed, hey, I'm the best kind of voice actor. Got humbled real quick.
Absolutely, it did.
Yeah. That I won't go into details how I was humbled. But my greatest humiliation came at the hands of my mentor and one of my very good friends, Cashlyn Snow, who did not only completely and utterly tore my ego apart to where it was rubble, but she then helped me piece all that back together into something of a more humble nature. Realizing that, oh, I'm actually not the best. In fact, there's all these different people here, except for him, that are better than I am.
And why was I her
So,
shadow?
because she had a brief case of insanity and picked you over me.
Which I
So,
still was her shadow. Anyway, continue.
right. uh, yeah, but I got that my start there, and so I started building my old channel, which it's been around for a while now. I started it around the same time as I launched my voice acting career, and it took off. I think the very next year in 21, and I just started. At first it was just myself and maybe one or two other people. Then I started branching out to other voice actors and stuff. I started building a community around me of different voice actors and different like artists and stuff. And then I joined Revolution when they had a casting call on the villains, and I got the role of Dr. Starline, whom I still voice to this day. And it's probably my most recognizable role, other than Shadow the Hedgehog, or my own fan character. And I've just been hamming it up at Revolution, having a great old time, making fun of him, making fun of everybody, then having the whole server turn against me and make fun of me. It's been a great time. So, really great for my mental health. I'll just say that much. Nothing more than nothing really builds your mental image than having a whole bunch of friends make fun of you. So,
Hey, look, if you can't dish it out, you can't take it. I mean, I know that much. I take my fair share of beatings. It's all for fun. I mean,
Yeah,
we love
yeah,
you,
yeah.
buddy. We hate you,
I am
but we love
I
you.
am Sonic. I am in our little Revolution voice acting community. I am the literal punching bag of everybody. I literally everybody. I don't know why every person I've met that we've casted because we're also casting directors in Revolution. I've every person we've casted here uh has made fun of me. Every single one of them. Not one person's been my friend. They've always started out as my
We've
enemy.
all been your friends. The reason we make fun of you is because we respect
Eh,
you.
shh. Let me
It's a
have this
sign of
victim mentality.
respect.
Let me
It's a sign of
I love how Gab's like, Caroline will always be your husband material, and Leah's like, yeah, what about me, Ultimate?
Okay, well, Leah, you're not part like you're not a voice actress. I haven't seen you in anything yet. That is, so it doesn't count. All the artists, except for Gabs, have been nice to me. Okay,
Dang,
like
Gab,
all
calling you out.
Gabs draws memes, cursed
Well,
memes of
I mean,
everybody in sight.
to be fair, Leah did do impromptu voice when you had that whole murder of Sonic the Hedgehog thing that was going on. It was like actually really surprising.
It's been a while.
But
Okay,
anyway, please continue.
Okay. I've got people in chat going like, I haven't been mean to you. I'm like, okay, so Kitty Cat, I don't recall her being not mean, but making fun of me. You've probably made fun of me at one point. Yes, you have actually. You make fun of me for stuff I do on my content, particularly with one canine female. But anyways, that's really my story. I don't have much to say. But yeah, I definitely joke around with my friends, and I have a great old time around here. So, hey Mora, Kelp, you want to go?
Yeah, sure. So my story kind of begins way back when when I was a lot younger, before I even professionally started voice acting. I did a lot of voice impressions of like cartoon characters and video game characters that I was exposed to from a young age, mainly like Captain Jack Sparrow in the Pirates of the Caribbean movies, and then also Nikolai Belinsky in Call of Duty Zombies back when it was good. Uh, and then from there, I mean, I've always grew up with Sonic. I mean, my first game was Heroes, and um, I played Sonic Heroes and I really got attached to the characters and I became a quick fan. So I was a fan during like what was considered the Dark Ages because my games that I played were Heroes, 06, and Unleashed, which Unleashed is still the greatest Sonic game ever made, and you can't convince me otherwise.
Yeah,
But
well, it was so good. You brought it with you, the best
it's
version of it, and we played it at Expo last
that's
year. I
06.
remember that.
That's not the best one that I said. I said Unleashed is the best one. But anyway, that's besides the point. So then, fast forward, in high school, I started thinking about doing voice acting, but I never really dove into it full on. And then when I got to college, I started exploring it as an avenue, and then COVID shut everything down, and I'm like, well, I'm shut up. I don't really have much of anything to do, so I might as well try this voice acting thing. So I got on my phone, did a few takes of things, got in some
Sorry.
projects, and then mutual projects led me to our mutual friend Cashlyn Snow, who I respect a lot, and I genuinely miss hanging out with her on occasion. But she's great. She's wonderful. She's amazing. So anyway, she and I were cast in a Disney project that didn't pan out. It didn't ever go anywhere. But it did blossom our friendship, and I saw she did Sonic content, and I said, hey, I can do some voice impressions of like Shadow, Silver, and Sonic, just out of the blue, randomly. I just messaged her. I said, hey, I saw you do Sonic content. I'd be interested in joining in if you're looking for any voices. At the time, I didn't realize this because completely unbeknownst to me, her Shadow had just left. And so I had messaged her at the exact moment when her Shadow was gone. So out of nowhere, she starts thinking to herself, how does he know? And I didn't know. I just completely blindly just said, hey, I see you do this. It'd be cool to join. So she had me do some takes, and she liked my Shadow. She asked what mic I had, and I said phone, and she was like, oh. And I said, but I was planning on getting a better mic, and of course I'm a man of my word, and so I got a better mic, and the rest is history. I started voicing Shadow for her in a lot of her content, and then after a while, Revolution had a casting call, and she wanted me to come in as the voice of Silver because they had a Shadow originally. It was the guy who does Shadow the Hedgehog YT, the content. He's a great guy. He does a lot of good content.
The Australian that yells a lot. Yes.
Yes. But anyway, so I was brought in as the voice of Silver, not originally Shadow. And then after a while, the original Shadow for Revo, it became too much of a time conflict and schedule conflict. So I ended up taking over the role. And then ever since then, I was the voice of Shadow and Silver in Revo. Eventually Clutch came along, and I always wanted to voice a villain. So I auditioned for Clutch, and I was able to get cast as him. And it was a lot of fun. So I have a lot of fun voicing those characters in Revo. Outside of Revo, I just kind of got involved. As I got in Revo, my voice kind of, I grew in my voice and grew in my characters and really learned how to do what I do best with them. And then from there, I just kind of branched out, started auditioning for more projects. Over time, my voices got known to the point where people just started reaching out to me and saying like, hey, we'd love to have you as voices this character and stuff like that. And then of course Sydney and I started to grow our dynamic as Silver and Blaze, and the rest is history with that. And we just got in. Basically, if there's a Sylvaise project or any Silver project that I'm offered the role, my first question is always, is Blaze voiced by Sydney? And 99 times out of 10, if they say yes, we'll join immediately. So that's kind of my story. That's kind of how it all goes. And I still voice in a few projects, or I've voiced in a few projects outside of just the Sonic community. I've done some stuff for My Hero Academia fan content. I've done some stuff for Demon Slayer fan content. I've done some stuff for Fire Emblems fan content, as well as some stuff for Kingdom Hearts fan content. So it's been fun to kind of voice other roles. So I'm not just Sonic, but I'm primarily known for my Sonic.
Oh, that's exciting. Well, I'd like to dive a little bit deeper, and I know, obviously, if it wasn't for Catherine, we all wouldn't be here right now, but what was it like from both of your experiences to be directed by her at the time?
Oh, man, the stories I could tell. Cashlyn, I guess, do you want me to go first on this one?
Yeah, you can actually.
Yeah, so Cashlyn was a very interesting director to work with because she had a very particular style that she liked to do. And when she directed me, for a lot of the times with like Shadow and stuff, she would kind of hone in on what I do well with Shadow, and then in areas where I was weak, she would say, okay, let's try doing it this way, or let's try doing it in a way like this. Have you seen this example of which a lot of the voice models she went off of was Adventure 2. Like the Adventure 2 cast was a lot of what she did. Like David Humphreys was good, but she thought that David Humphreys' Shadow wasn't necessarily like always the greatest because there's certain things he's great at, like his enunciation and pronouncing the words is great, but his power is a little lacking in certain lines. And my Shadow started as Jason Griffith impression, and it more so morphed into a mix of the two into its own thing, which is what she really liked about my Shadow. So she would always kind of coach me to find a balance in between the two and really bring out my own unique Shadow rather than try to go one way or another with it. And then specifically with Silver in Revolution, when she directed me for that, she said, all right, so the Silver impression you do, which originally my Silver is just '06 Silver. It's a Pete Capella inspired impression because I believe Pete Capella is the best who's ever done it. Not any knock to the other Silver voice actors, but I think Pete Capella just nailed that character. And she kind of told me, okay, what I want you to do is I want you to do your normal Silver, but pitch it up, make it more energetic, more youthful. And then that resulted in the Revo Silver that everyone knows today. So now my Revo Silver and my normal Silver is not exactly the same. It's more so I'm playing a version of the character that's specific to Revo. So she's really coached me on a lot of things that, and so we wouldn't have like the Revo Silver that I have as of right now without Cashlin's direction. And it's really interesting to get directed by her. I wish I could get directed by her again on another project. It'd be so much fun.
So before I give my take, I just want to step back a little bit because I wanted to ask this real quick. Kelp, you never told me you did Pirates of the Caribbean fan work. You did Jack Sparrow?
No, I didn't say I did Pirates of the Caribbean fan work. As a kid growing up, I did imitations of Jack Sparrow because I grew up with those movies and I loved Jack Sparrow as a character. So he was one of like the inspirations for kind of how I got into it. It was more so like as a kid, I did impressions of him as bad as they were. And
I actually want to hear you do Jack Sparrow real quick before I start talking about Cashlin. Like that's what I was wanted to
Sparrow, Savvy.
Oh my gosh! What the hey? You've never done this before.
Exactly, and I'll probably never do it again. But you heard it here first, folks. You get a
nah. We gotta make him do more of this. Like I'll be your Gibbs. I'll be your Gibbs, Mr. Sparrow.
Finally, someone who can match my energy.
See, he's really good at this. That's better than mine. Holy cow!
Anyway, you go ahead with your story.
All right. That's fun though. I'm gonna ask you for that from now on. Working with Cashlin for me is a little different than Kelp's because, she was the one that completely tore apart my mentality of, oh, hey, I'm the best. Literally, no one can do this better than I am, and I can. And she literally nurtured me in voice acting. Like she coached me on a lot of different things, and she not only taught me how to be a better voice actor, but she also taught me how to use Audacity, which is the interface I use. She taught me how to video edit. She taught me how to she showed me like what the stuff she uses that worked for her, which really worked for me. And I probably lost touch on a lot of things I have to get back on. But she also did direct me on some projects as well, because I think I was also like her big, and I think I was casting a Mighty that I never got to be Mighty as. But there was also a few things that she did as a director, where not only did she direct me on several projects, she also taught me how to direct, because I also created my own content. I remember when we were doing the Thanksgiving project we did, oh my gosh, years ago, that Adam Hayward and I still talk about redoing, like doing like a Sonic Adventure director's cut redo or something like that for this project. But she brought me in with everybody's favorite Sonic voice actor, Andrew HV8. A credible guy, by the way, who was everybody's Sonic and also Cashin Sonic. But I was brought into the directing session, and she literally was like, "Okay, here's what we're gonna do. You're gonna sit down with me, and you're gonna listen. You're not gonna speak. You're not gonna say anything." Because at this point, she knew I rambled. You're not going to do anything. You're going to listen to me direct him. And I'm like, okay. And anything that she says, it goes. So I sat there and I watched and I listened and I took notes mentally. And using that as a groundwork, how I was able to direct other people. And all that stuff as well. So what she would do for me, since I didn't voice roles like this guy over here, like repeatedly, she kind of, when it came with Big, I think she definitely, I'm embarrassed to say this. She had no notes. She commented, "I'm just really good at voicing big dumb characters," and I've. I have no words. I don't know what to say about that. What do you want me to say? Thank you. I regard myself, again, this is part of the whole tearing down my own ego, and I think myself as very, very smart. I still do. And she's over here, "Wow, you're really good at voicing big dumb characters." Gee, thanks. What do I say to that?
Everyone knows their type.
I think she definitely didn't really have any notes on Big. I think that's really the only character she kind of directed me on. I think she directed me on Shadow once on a project that I'm very sad to say has not yet seen the light of day. It's still in production hell. I just never had even now I don't really have the motivation to work on it, but it was for that project. She directed me on that, and I remember even back then, like this was like 3-4 years ago, my Shadow was still awful, just to say the least. I hadn't really grown into it. And then years later, I listened to the lines again, DM'd her, like, "Hey, is it okay if I redo these lines? Because I think I've grown a lot, and I would like to do it again." She's like, "No, that's perfect. Do that." So, being directed by her, like it was, definitely an experience, but it also shaped me on how I direct, because how she directed me and how she taught me is how I direct nowadays. I actually had the privilege. I know I'm rambling. Bear with me for one more segue. I had the privilege of actually offering to somebody, where I won't mention her name out of respect. It's nothing bad, because I don't want to embarrass her. She's my student. I went and mentored her because I heard her voice and I saw the potential. And it reminded me of where I started and what Cashlin did with me. And I said to myself, that baton I want to pass on. So I went to her and I said, "Hey, I think you sound great. I think you have great potential. That being said, you have a lot of work to do, and I want to help you on that." And I was very glad that she said, "Okay, let's do it." And so it was like a whole week and a half, I think, of just me drilling her on different vocal techniques, different stuff that Cashlin used to do with me. And she's way better now than what she was before. She's really good now. So if you hear her, I'll let you figure out who it was. But if you hear her in another project, and you're going, that's she sounds really good, then let me know. I'll start crying or something. I don't know. I'm really proud of her. How but that's just the wondrous power of teaching. Like, it starts one place and you just pass that knowledge on and that technique and training to other people. So I think my relationship directing wise with Cashlin was more so of a mentoring relationship, because she didn't more so direct me on like my voice. She directed me on like how I could direct others and how to improve myself as a teacher. So I don't know. It was a whole molding process.
That's very interesting to learn. Well, I know you two do other projects aside from from Sonic, and I'd love to hear about that. And I know, Kelp, you're working on one. Well, technically, it is Sonic called Galahad, but I know you've done other
Yeah.
non-Sonic projects too. Love to hear about that, and then I can go over to you, Ultimate.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, for sure. So, right now I'm kind of in the throes of Galahad, which, for those who are uninitiated or unaware, is sort of like a Sonic and the Black Knight inspired fan project telling events set before the events of Sonic and the Black Knight. It kind of explains a little bit about Galahad and his story and things like that. And it's in collaboration with Sydney Page of Blue Moon 88, as well as Gab Sam. And we're kind of working on that. I'm obviously the voice of Galahad, but it's sort of a really interesting tale that kind of goes through various different dramatic scenarios and kind of just tells a story that's inspired by both the game and Sonic and the Black Knight, as well as Arthurian legend and things like that. It was really fun to kind of sink my teeth into this version of a character I know so well, like, because Silver is his own sort of unique character, but Galahad is a very different character. So when I voice Galahad, I'm not voicing him the same way that I usually voice Silver, because he's energetic, he's optimistic, but Galahad is more serious, more down to earth. He's a knight. He exists to serve his purpose to his kingdom, to do his duty as a knight and in service of his king. So it's very interesting to kind of play with that. And so that's kind of like the one I'm in the throes of. There's other Sonic projects I could talk about all day. I mean, I could talk about Sonic Chaos Adventure. I could talk about a few other things, but and there's some I can't even talk about. But in terms of outside of Sonic, some of the projects I've really enjoyed working on, namely, I really enjoyed working on some of those Kingdom Hearts dubs where I voiced Riku in a few of those. There was, I think, someone for March Caprice one of the years, they asked me to voice as Riku for a hypothetical pilot, so to speak, of an animated Kingdom Hearts series or something like that. And it was basically just kind of exploring the dynamic of Riku, Kairi, and Sora on the beach of Destiny Island, looking out and wondering what's out there in the world, because they live their lives sheltered on Destiny Islands. They don't know anything about other worlds, and they're all curious about leaving this place that they've known for ages and they've never seen. And Riku's kind of like the ringleader. He's sort of like the guy who kind of like pushes Sora and Kairi into the adventure, because while Sora is kind of like the more naive kid who's really excited and energetic, Riku is kind of more the kind of like the cool, nonchalant guy. He's like the guy who's like the cool guy. He's the one who's kind of like bringing the balance there to Sora's energy and Kairi's kind of like more calm demeanor. He's kind of a balance between the two, and it was a lot of fun to play in that sandbox as someone who's enjoyed the Kingdom Hearts story and the characters for a while. Even though I could not tell you the lore of Kingdom Hearts because I myself don't even understand it, but it's been a blast, and I also would love the chance to voice Vanitas in another Kingdom Hearts thing, because he is always such a cool character, and I've done his voice before, and it is so fun to do. Especially, I love voicing villains. So, I mean, if I got a chance to voice Vanitas in something, I'd jump at it. And then Fire Emblem is a huge franchise that I love a lot of the games of. I'm a massive fan of Fire Emblem, for those who don't know. Yes, I'm the guy who was excited for Byleth to join Smash. Fight me. But
All right.
I've voiced a few characters in some Fire Emblem comic dubs. I voiced like young fallen Morgan in a comic dub. I've voiced Dimitri from Three Houses. I've voiced Claude from Three Houses. I've voiced the Gatekeeper from Three Houses. I've done some stuff from I want to say it was I've voiced Marth. I've voiced Alm. I've voiced several of the characters, and it's a lot of fun to voice them. So yeah, and then of course Nikolai Belensky from Call of Duty Zombies. I love him and his vodka. But anyway, that's pretty much A little, and of course, Inosuke Hashibira. But,
My boy.
yeah, I love
Everybody's
that
boy.
crazy animal. He's so fun.
Yeah.
And of course, Shigaraki. But what can you do?
Now, how about
So-
you, Ultimate? I also know you had your own series with your own character too, and would love to
Yeah,
hear
so
the origins
I-
of that as well.
Yeah. Yeah, currently I'm not really in any like outside projects other than like other people's like comic dubs. I wish I could say I popped up in other different fandoms like this guy over here. That'd be nice. Boy, if somebody could come up to me and ask me to voice Deku in a couple of places, that'd be great. Yeah, anyways. But I mean, yeah, so you did mention I that I had a whole series. Yes, so there is a series I've been working on that's also taken a back burner because of life in general, which I've made a separate video on that describing what happened. But there's a audio drama series that I started that has a really sweet origin in the fact that my dad kind of kickstarted it inadvertently. So the very first episode of this audio drama series, which by the way, I'd like to mention, I should make a poll on this on my YouTube page. There's not a name for this show. And I never realized this until last year when I went, wait a second. This show doesn't have a title. What do I call this thing? It's just got episodes, but I've got nothing. So if you want to help me name it, that'd be great because I don't know what to name it. I don't know what to call it. Everything I come up with is stupid. Ask him.
Rambling man.
What?
Rambling man, because you ramble on.
Isn't that the point of an audio drama series?
I'm making a joke, and you're too.
Oh, never mind. Okay, anyways, so
And
my
you wonder
dad.
why we can make a joke about him.
Shut up. The first episode of this little series that I did, was based off a conversation I had with my dad, which was me in college, basically whining about not having a girlfriend, and my dad just going, "Buck up, be single, and be happy about it. It's not the end of the world." And like, I wish I could recall the entire conversation I had with my dad because it was a lot deeper than what the episode covered, which was a conversation between my character, Dr. Harold Luke Hildeberg, and Rouge the Bat. It's a whole lot deeper because my dad also likes to talk a lot. I wonder where I got that from, huh? But yeah, it was a whole conversation built on the conversation that I had with my dad, which stuck with me, and it was something I wanted to share with the world. So I wrote it, I condensed it as best I could. Summary is not my strong suit, but I did the best I could. And got a voice actress, Gashlin, to voice in it, and okay, what? Silent Science. Nah. Exploding Hearts. Okay, very funny. Exploding. Anyways, so I posted that episode, and I don't think it was even called episode 1. I don't remember. It might have, because I posted it and done it, and I was like, hey, that was actually kind of fun. And my brain went, yeah, we should do some more. And I went, yeah, we should. And so I decided to make a episode 2, episode 3, 4. So the episode that I'm currently working on, that has been in development hell because of real life situation, is episode 11. I almost said 10. I was like, no. 10 was a couple years ago. I got that out of the way. Or was it last year? I think it was last year, actually. Yeah, it was last year. Episode 10 I got out last year, so get that off my chest. I still have a lot written that I really want to work on as well. And I have no motivation to do it because of work, life, and finances. So the holy trinity of doom. Anyways, yeah, so that's really the only technically outside work. It's just my own content that I work on. And that little series I've been working on, and it's always going to have a very special place in my heart, because that's when I started working on like my own content. How I learned how to video edit, how to play around with software and stuff. Every episode is always fun to work on because I'm always learning new things on every episode I work on. So it's always a great place for me to grow as a editor and stuff. So yeah, that's pretty much the. Again, I don't voice in a lot of fan content, like a lot of like outside fan content outside of the Sonic community because I don't audition. I should, but I don't really have time to or mental strength to do that. I'm definitely open to, but no, there's not a lot of outside topics or content I can talk about, unfortunately, but that's okay.
Now, I know you two have this friendly rivalry going on. What's the origins of that?
No, I'll tell.
Wait. What's the origins of that, and what was it like to finally meet each other in person from both your experiences?
Okay, so the story goes, is that
I'll tell his version and then I'll tell mine.
Well, no, I don't lie, so I'm gonna try my best to, because it was the truth. I'll hand it to Kelp. He reached out first, so he had auditioned for, what was it? You had auditioned for something, and then you're like, oh hey, if you need like a Sonic, Silver, or Shadow or anything, you just hit me up. I guess, I don't know. Just keep me in mind, I guess.
When I met Cashlyn the first time, I asked if she was looking for anyone for Sonic projects for Sonic, Shadow, or Silver, and at the time her Shadow had just left, so she said I could use a Shadow, and so I sent her all the samples I had so far of Shadow and Silver and Sonic, and she really liked it. So then I got invited to join her Discord server, and I joined
on the pretense. She made you sign a deal with the devil on the pretense you got a new mic. That was it. You know. She didn't do that with me because I already had a microphone of some sort. I forget what it was. I think it was like some sort of USB, but that's passable. But yeah. So anyways, he joined first in the server and he got settled in a little bit. Then I joined and yeah, he introduced himself.
You were already there.
Oh, I was? Oh, I thought. Oh,
yeah, you were there
okay.
First.
Oh, yeah, you're right. No, you're right. You're right. I was there first. So I didn't know she needed a Shadow. If I did, I would have jumped on the opportunity. And, well, frick, he got there before I don't see. He just popped in like, hi, I'm Shadow, and I went, feral goblin noises.
I worded it was, hey everyone, super excited to join in and voice Shadow in some of these projects. I look forward to working with you all, and I'm happy to meet you all. And this guy comes in with, he's voicing Shadow. Who's this guy? What?
Remember, I had a superiority complex.
Oh, he absolutely did.
So yeah. Again, remember, I was molded. I had to get molded out of it. I had to get refined by fire. But yeah. So that's how the rivalry started. So we just bantered back because it's like it started with that, and then all of a sudden, every time I would audition for something Shadow related, he'd pop up. And more than likely, he got the role. So, think of this relationship as Goku and Vegeta, where I take the role of Vegeta, where I'm constantly growing, but somehow stupid Kakarot over there keeps surpassing me every single time.
Goku.
Like I'm over here, I get Super Saiyan, I'm like, ha, look at this, and you're over there with Super Saiyan 2, like, huh, what? Oh, hey, what's up? So I push myself harder. I gotta get Super Saiyan 2.
My level.
Yeah. I can't really do a Vegeta, I'll be honest. It just sounds like a really, really gravelly version of...
Of course you can, Kakarot! You just need to practice! That's my best.
I'm much better at voicing the dumb guy. Anyways, but yeah, that's how we used each other to grow each other and like grow as voice actors. But we started like, I think somewhere between that we figured out we had a lot of like in common and stuff. And the more we popped up, we're just like, okay, let's try being friends. All right, fine. So we started hanging out with each other. We're like, we had a lot of different commonalities. Like we both loved Star Wars. We both liked
yes.
What
Zelda Tears of the Kingdom.
Yeah, Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, Mario. We had similar backgrounds, except he stayed in college, I dropped out. But but we also had like a deep passion for Sonic and like for voice acting, and so like we also figured out we had the kind of the same like gaming mindsets as well, which is fun. He got me into the My Hero Academia stuff. So all the anime stuff he helped me get into, because at first I was very adversarial towards it because of stereotypes, but I was talking to like I think a few of my friends in real life, and they recommended different animes for me to start. And My Hero Academia was one that one of my friends you're like, oh, if you're gonna get into anime, man, you gotta start there. I'm like, okay. So I went to Kelp. I was like, hey man, I want to try and get into anime. There's a show I was recommended. It's My Hero Academia. I know nothing about it. He's like, oh buddy, oh you're not ready for this. And
I took it upon myself as a man of culture to introduce him to the wonderful world of anime through some of the ones that I think he would like best.
He's got great taste. I'll say that much. My
Hero was like the first one because I try to look at when I watch anime, I try to look at characters that I can relate to, as well as some that I just over the course of their journey, you really grow attached to them. So I introduced him to the wonderful world of My Hero because Deku is a character I felt really resonates with both myself and with him.
Yeah, no, he's absolutely right. I see myself in Deku in every single way, including the crying bits. I'll be real. Oh my gosh,
he's one of my favorite characters. I relate to him so much. Deku is just such a great protagonist.
Yeah. But yeah, so fast forward, Revolution comes around, and we find like I've been going to Revolution for like several years now. And then I find out, he tells me, I'm going this year. What? Yeah, I'm gonna meet you. What? So I had to back then I had a lot of money at the time, so I was tempted to buy a bunch of firearms and explosives and stuff to wait for his arrival and absolutely just eviscerate him. Unfortunately, I remember that the TSA wouldn't probably allow that, so I decided to leave that all behind.
He's a Texan after all. That's important context.
Or like Texans are like Star Wars Mandalorians. Weapons are our religion. So that and I almost said DietDrKelp. I was gonna say Dr. Pepper, but Dr. like that and Dr. Pepper. Diet Dr. Pepper if you're feeling frisky, but
Dr. Pepper's a hack.
Dr. Pepper is Southern culture, man. You can't insult it. Otherwise, yeah, we have guns for a reason. But yeah, but anyway, so I remember meeting him for the first time was the entire day, because I arrived before he did, where we were going to meet, and I was nervous the entire day. And then the one moment I let my guard down, he magically manifested. Again, if we're going with the Dragon Ball analogy, he used instant transmission to appear behind me. So I hugged him. I wanted to kill him. I decided to cry instead. So just to cover up my rage that he was here. So, you know.
And I'll never forget that look on your face when you first saw him in that video.
Yeah. Well, we haven't even gotten to the third time he showed up.
Let me take over from here because I got some added context to this. So, Revolution had been going on, and I've been voicing in Revolution for a while, and I was like, I've never met really any of my online Sonic friends ever, because I've not been to any of these conventions where they've been at, except for like I'd met Kevin before, and I'd met Victor McKnight, I met a few others as well, just via Atlanta, because a lot of them went to conventions in Atlanta, like MomoCon and things like that. But I'd never been to one like out in California where Revolution was, and the only reason I was like, well, it's been around for 10 years, and I really want to meet these people who I've been voicing with for like over 2 years now, and I've never met them in person. So I just decided to say, all right, saddle up, I'm going. And I went, and the whole time when I was there, we were planning on, when I got there, I was planning on spending the day at Universal, because I wanted to make a trip out of it. I wanted to go to Universal because they had Super Nintendo World, and obviously as a massive video gamer, I needed to go there to experience my childhood imagined in person. So I went there with Leah, and it was a lot of fun. And Andrew, the voice of Sonic for Revolution, and we had a blast. It was so much fun going to Universal. And then we were gonna meet up with the others at, I think it was it round one you guys were at?
Yeah.
And we were gonna meet up there to kind of, hang out and stuff, but we ended up spending a lot more time at Universal than we thought, so it was basically the whole day. So then after Universal, like Ultimate was kind of waiting at round one for the time when I was gonna show up.
I
and
was nervous, man. I was looking all over that place. Like,
yeah, and I didn't show up, and I was like, well, time got away from us. So at that point, he was like, okay, maybe he's not going to see me until the convention. But then we went out to dinner at Denny's, fittingly enough, because, of course, Silver found the Denny's. And so I got to the Denny's before Ultimate did. And I went to
I
James,
didn't know this, by the way.
Mr. JPEG. I went to James, Mr. JPEG, and I told him, I said, hey, I don't know when Ultimate's going to get here, but when he says he's like close, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in the bathroom and I'm going to sit in there, and I want you to tell me when he's coming to the table. So when he got in, it wasn't as if I had arrived there yet. So he didn't know, and I was in the bathroom waiting, and then James came in and he said, hey, Kelp, are you there? And I said, yeah. He said, he's here. And so I went out and I had James take my phone and film it. And originally I thought we were going to be at this one table, but they moved us. So I'm like, oh shoot, is he going to see me? Did he already see me? Did I ruin it?
Nah,
And
I
then,
was
of course,
tired and
he wasn't paying
terrible
attention.
Peripheral vision,
So I walk up to him and I, in my shadow voice, say, well, well, well. And he immediately clocked it was me, turned around and jumped me practically in a hug and was crying.
I had a knife.
It was beautiful. It was so much fun to meet him, and we'd been voicing and we'd known each other for over 2 years
So
at that
long,
point,
yeah.
and it's like we're practically brothers. I mean, we
and I
say
don't like
we
my
hate each
brothers.
other, but we really love each other. So anyway, it was a great moment. And then, fast forward to Expo, and I mean, we had already known each other at Expo, and we knew we were going to Dallas. So the first time I went to Dallas Expo, it wasn't like a surprise that I was going, but the next time I went, I decided to surprise him again.
I really hate you for this. Like, this is terrible. I got to tell. Okay. So
you tell your perspective.
So this is really where Mike's perspective. I'm over here. I'm over here at the. I just gotten my badge. I'm with a friend of mine, Kevin. I'm talking to Kevin, and I'm like, I kind of wish he. Like, I know Kelp said he couldn't come, but honestly, I kind of wish he was here. It's kind of lonely without him. Just because, I'm just kind of a little disappointed. I was like, I was kind of hoping to see him again, but he said he couldn't come. Okay, so there's this other dude. His name is Zilla. Okay, right? What's his name? Like, forget.
Yoshizilla or Silver the Hedgehog YT.
Oh yeah, I know who he is.
He comes up to me. By the way, nice looking chap, very friendly fellow. I like his hair, but he's got like really nice black luscious locks. I wish I had. I'm thinning, so I'm jealous of that. But anyways, he comes up to me, he goes, hey, we wanted. What did he say? Something along the lines of we want to take a
picture.
Yeah, we want to take a picture with like
Silver. And because his whole brand is based around Silver, he came up to you and asked to take a picture.
Yeah, because I've voiced Silver before. I'm the understudy for his Silver actually, and I've voiced Silver in other different projects. I wish I could do it more.
And of course, you had met him at the previous expo that we went
to. And I think he was a really nice chap, and I knew him, and I was like, so he's like, I know you voiced Silver, like we want to do like a photo shoot, and we want you to be a part of it. I'm like, okay. I wasn't really thinking at that moment. I didn't really. It was ironic. I had mentioned this stuff about Kelp, and then he comes up, and so I didn't really put two and two together. When do I ever? But anyways, so I'm like, okay, that's cool. Like I like, and I'm over here like, hey, that's cool. I like it when fans come up to me and want my picture. It's great. The stroke my ego a little bit. So I walk up, and they're like, what should we say? Like, oh, let's say Silver or something. I was like, okay. So we all get in position, and the count of 1, 2, 3. Silver, and then like the minute we all stop, the picture's taken, and I hear in the back right behind me, just suddenly, out of nowhere, It's no use! And it's Kelp Silver. And I literally whirled around and died, resurrected, died, and resurrected again, all while going, ah! I had 5 different heart attacks. And then I absolutely pounced on him. And I started sobbing. Like, if you thought I shed tears the first time I met him, this time I just wept. I didn't care who was there, who was watching. I sobbed.
Yeah. So this time around, it was a lot of fun because
You're a jerk.
I do it because I care and I love you.
You're terrible.
So anyway,
You're evil.
it was really, yes, I'm evil in my own special way, but so I didn't know if I was going to make it to Expo, and I was honest with everybody. I said, look, guys, I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it to Expo. Last year, I made it.
No, that's not what you told me. You said you wouldn't make it to it. You weren't going to.
I'm getting to that point. Let me tell it my way. So I said, I've been looking at Expo, but I don't know if I'm going to make it this year because, money's tight. I went to Expo last year because I wanted to make an effort to go to all the Sonic conventions that were out at the time, because this was before the one that happened in Utah. What was the name of it again? Or Utah, Nevada? Which one?
Neon Summit.
Neon Summit, yeah. So I didn't, this is before Neon Summit was a thing. But anyway, I looked at it and I was like, yeah, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to be able to go. But then things took a turn, personally, like in my life. And I found myself, okay, there's a chance I could swing this. Now, I had been telling everyone, I don't think I'm going to be able to make it this time. I don't know if it's going to be possible. So I said, if I can swing this, I'm not going to change my tune. I'm going to say that I can't and just do it anyway. So that way, the people who know will help me surprise the people who don't. And I knew Ultimate was going to go, so I was like, oh, Ultimate's going to have a reaction and a half. So the only person I told, well, the only 2 people I had told were James, Mr. JPEG, who helped me to surprise him the first time and who wasn't going to Expo, and Silver the Hedgehog YT, who was. I told him I was going, and I said, hey, Ultimate has no idea, Kevin has no idea, no one knows I'm coming other than a few people. That was Yoshizilla, Silver the Hedgehog YT, Mr. JPEG, as well as the Adrenaline Dubs crew, who I decided to, get an Airbnb with, and that was a blast. But they knew, and I said, I'm keeping it kind of down low that I'm going. So when it comes to getting there, I was like, okay, I don't know when I want to do this, because I don't know when I want to surprise him, when I want to let him know I'm here. I wanted to save it for the day of the convention, but I wanted to go to badge pickup, and the problem is that if I went to badge pickup and I went to go pick up my badge, he would immediately know that it's me. He would see me. I'm impossible to not see because he was standing with Kevin right at the entrance to go to the line. There was no chance I could get past him. So it was like, and if I go past him and get in the line, he's going to walk back that way and find me. So it's like, it's a struggle. So I talked to Yoshi and I said, hey, I need your help. I'm trying to surprise Ultimate, and I feel like we can only do it if I can only get my badge if he knows I'm here. So we got to do the surprise now. So he said, all right, I've got an idea. Let me do this. So I stayed outside, and I was as disguised as I could be. I was wearing a hat with a hood over it. I was keeping insanely quiet and off to myself. I was outside the hotel, out front, behind a corner wall. I looked like probably the sketchiest guy there. I looked like the thug that's probably gonna mug you in an alleyway.
Yeah.
But, so anyway, Yoshi calls them all together and he says, all right, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get Ultimate in for a picture and say hey, we all voice Silver. We want to do a celebratory picture with Silver, that sort of thing, and say Silver, and then you pop up and you do something, and we'll video it. And I said, okay, that sounds good. So when he lined it up, he distracted Ultimate because I was behind the pillar where they were taking the picture, so he couldn't see me. And I said, all right, I'm going to sit back here. Give me a cue. Once you say silver, I'll wait a few seconds and then I'll go back and do my thing. So he did everything as was intended. He said silver. Then I was behind them as they were starting to take the picture, but of course he wasn't looking behind him because he was focused on the picture. So
Yeah.
I sneak up behind him and I say, "It's no use." And of course, he immediately knows it's my voice because
Yeah, why do you think I had like 5
trained
different
to
heart
hear it.
attacks at the same time?
He's trained himself to hear it. Plus, my voice as Silver is so recognizable to him right now, he could spot it out of a crowd from a mile away.
Yeah, duh.
So he whips his head around.
No, it wasn't my hand, my whole body. It's bad.
Yeah. Well, you whip your head around and your body as well follows. You scream at the top of your lungs in the middle of the hotel lobby, and then practically tackle me in a hug, and you're crying and sobbing. It was beautiful.
I
And
was tired,
one of
okay?
the best moments I think I've ever had, and I will never forget it for as long as I live. And that's why I wanted to keep it secret that I was going to Expo last year. But this year I keep no secrets. I'm going to Expo. I'm going to Atlanta. I'm going to Dallas. You will see me there. So I'm not going to give him a heart attack again. So
No, I won't be there to get a heart attack.
yeah,
Probably.
I won't. As Gab Sam says, I'm not going to do silver jump scare.
That is a great story.
Yeah.
I'd like to dive more into the characters that you play. How did you come up with the particular style of those characters and their characterization? If I can speak right here.
The styles?
Yeah,
like
like
the
just
characters you voice?
how you portray those characters, at like
A lot
their personalities, etc.
A lot of YouTube, a lot of reading, a lot of game playing. For me.
Yeah.
I have tonal memory, so I can pick up on like different voice actor styles and stuff. It helps the voice acting as well, like trying to do imitations. So it's also how to do your own thing. What gave me the confidence to just kind of like style it out with like some of the variants of like I do like with my characters, like the ones I voice, but also staying true to the original voice actors was a conversation I had with I think it was David Griffith, where David's shadow is completely
Humphrey.
different. Jason Griffith, I'm sorry. I'm tired. Remember,
You said
this
David
goes off-
Griffith, and I was like, wait a second, what?
My bad. Jason Griffith. He listened to a lot of David Humphrey when he was auditioning for Shadow and doing the voice of Shadow. And yet these voices are completely different from each other. So, and I don't like, I'm over here like, how do you get from this and this? But okay. So it's also because everyone's voice is different. So like naturally I'm going to sound different from Kelp over here. And that actually it's a different tool set. I'm going to be better at some things than he is, and he's going to be better at some things than I am. The goal for me is to be better at everything that he does, but ain't going to get there tomorrow, so we're going to get there next week. So but it's all just a process. Whatever. It's all just shut up. It's all just a process of just learning where you're best at, and that just develops just kind of the style of your voice and how you portray the character. But you also have to be faithful to the original. Like if you're voicing a legacy character, you have to research long, hard, and deep with these characters. Like I'm talking like games, I'm talking books, I'm talking include like mentally becoming the character. What are they like when they wake up in the morning? What do they eat for breakfast? Do they go to work? How do they go to work? Do they board a transit? Do they own their own car? How do they unwind? Do they unwind? So you have to take all that. It's how I've personally, for me, it's how I became the role of Starline like really quickly and just rose like as people started talking about my Starline voice all the time because I read so much about the character and I also started emulating the character sometimes. Like, okay, well, what's Starline like when he's like being interviewed for a job or what does he do when he's presented with a problem? What does he eat for dinner? Does it depend on the day? Does it depend on the night? So just a lot of research, a lot of practice, and a lot of training. So
Now we know Dr. Starline does not have a canon voice. How did
No.
you come up with the voice for him and his mannerism?
So so this is where you get to have a lot of fun with characters that don't technically have a voice. Because with legacy characters, like I said, you have to stay with the style of the voices they do. With characters like from comics and stuff that canonically don't have a voice, you have a lot more freedom. How I did it was actually from the voice actor of Starline from Adrenaline Dubs, because I liked what he did with Starline, and this is the mentality of every voice actor that does auditions and wants to get the job. This is the mentality I had. This is good, but I'm going to do it better. And that's how you get roles. It's literally, it's very cutthroat in the voice acting industry when it comes to auditions and stuff. But yeah, that was my mentality. Like, okay, I like what he did, but I'm going to do my own spin. I'm going to take what he does and I'm do it better. I love the British accent he gave him. I love the sophisticated voice he gave. I just thought it was too laid back. There wasn't enough. Starline's a very, very out there kind of person. Remember, he takes his whole shtick off of Eggman. He's Eggman's fanboy. So he's going to do everything Eggman does, but a little better, especially in the later issues where he's basically going like, I can do this that Eggman's doing, but I'm going to do it better. Way better. In fact, he's going to be groveling at my feet. I didn't have that kind of mentality, but I'm like, I'm going to do this better. So I just basically, it's just a really refined, sophisticated British voice that has a little bit of inspiration from the here's an old historical term that you probably don't know about, inspiration from the fops of the 18th, 19th centuries, which were there was these men that took on a little bit more like effeminate personality. They were like they're like into fashion and parties and stuff, and they spoke very much flamboyant. That's the word. Thank you, Gebs. They were more flamboyant. They were more but the technical term is definitely effeminate for fops, and that was what I took from that. But it wasn't. He's not all that, by the way. If you recall, he's not only that flamboyant, that oh, look at me, oh, I'm such a sexy piece of man. Flip that, he has a very sinister side, very sinister, and that I think that's what the voice actor in Adrenaline Dubs for Starline does very well, is bring out that sinister side. It's that flamboyant side that we didn't see very often. I think I don't think I thought I could do that better. So, but yeah, so it was a balance, like doing that flamboyant bit of him and then switching back to the sinister bit of him. And then, of course, the most fun parts is when he crashes out, especially on issue 50 where he, quote unquote, dies. So, yeah, that's kind of how I developed my voice for Dr. Starline.
Now, how about you, Kelp? How did you develop the voice and the characterization of the characters that you play?
Well, especially Clutch, because that'd be a good way to start. Like, that's another.
Yeah, well, you
character.
know,
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Silver and Shadow are, well, I'll start with Silver and Shadow because they're kind of easy to go off of. For Silver, basically, I do 06 Pete Capella because, as I've said before, I feel like Pete Capella is the best to have ever done it. He established the voice of that character and the groundwork for every other voice actor afterwards, so I don't think it will ever be something that can be topped. So I basically modeled myself after trying to match 06 Silver as much as possible. But then when it came to Revo, specifically, Cashlin directed me and said, hey, Silver's a kid. Silver's a young teen. He's, 14 years old. And he's supposed to be, energetic, optimistic, that sort of thing. And the version I do as Silver from 06 isn't really, the most youthful of it. Because as Pete has explained in interviews, he kind of dove into anime protagonist territory with Silver. And if you look at Silver just on paper, yes, that works. I mean, He's fighting to save a doomed future from ruin, and he's got the weight of the world on his shoulders, and he puts too much on himself, but he's always optimistic. He is the stereotypical anime protagonist. But
Trunks.
Silver is a kid. He's young, he's naive, he doesn't know everything. So Cashlin kind of directed me in that angle of Silver, and for Revo, I pitched it up, made it a little bit higher, made him have more like funny little moments where he's like, maybe he's not so sure of himself, maybe he's like trying to be great, but he doesn't really know how best to do it. And a really good example I can give of this, and I found inspiration in this character, nothing to do with Sonic, but I found inspiration for how I do my Revo Silver in, oddly enough, Hiccup from How to Train Your Dragon. Because if you look at Hiccup, he's the son of the chief. He's trying to live up to this expectation of his warrior father. And by all accounts, from a Viking standpoint, he is a disappointment. He's not living up to that legend of Stoic the Vast. He's literally named Hiccup. And he stutters over himself, he struggles, but he has greatness within him, and he's really smart. He wants to do the right thing, and when his whole village is against dragons, he's the only one who sees it from a different side and wants to do the right thing. And so he forms a bond with Toothless and that sort of thing, and it kind of grows his character and grows his ability as both a person, a warrior, and a leader, someone to aspire to be. And so he's kind of like that underdog story that I find in Silver a lot. So I applied a lot of Hiccup to Silver because I've done impressions of Hiccup before, and I applied a lot of that to my Silver. And I feel like that really helped me to find where Silver was. As for Shadow, I started out with just Jason Griffith straight away, and Cashlin kind of directed me, I want you to do a bit more of David Humphrey. And David Humphrey, he does some great things well. Like, they could say two lines the same way. For instance, let's say Jason Griffith says, "It all starts with this, a jewel containing the ultimate power." And then, if you go to David Humphrey, he'd be more like, "It all starts with this, a jewel containing the ultimate power." So, there's two different ways to do that. Which one do I go for? Cashlin told me, go for both. Meet in the middle. And I kind of gravitated towards that and formed my own sort of Shadow, more so than I'd already been doing, because I kind of mixed the two, specifically Jason Griffith for power and David Humphrey for speaking, but I didn't really mix it all the way. Until now, through Revo, I've formed my own Shadow, where now, if you hear it, it's, "It all starts with this, a jewel containing the ultimate power," which mixes both of them. And that's kind of how I came across Shadow himself and the way I do Shadow. As for Clutch, who's more interesting, because Clutch is the one he's an IDW character. He doesn't have an established voice. I looked at the character and the way he presented himself and how he is. Now, a lot of people would be right in saying this, he's an opossum. Opossums are commonly, they're commonly associated with the South, so a lot of people put them as a Southern accent or some kind of Southern accent. But obviously he's a criminal. And the way I've always viewed him is like, this guy looks like, he's clearly wealthy. He's got a lot of, investments and chow races. He's got a lot of wealth built up. He looks like old money. He's the kind of guy who's like, yeah, I got rich and I'm not afraid to use my riches to get even richer. I've got power. I've built it up over years of criminal enterprises. So the first thing I did was I thought of this guy, okay, this guy is like a mobster in New York in the 20s. This guy is, he's Prohibition era mafia leader. He's the Sonic version of the Kingpin from Marvel. If you know Marvel, obviously the Kingpin is like a big Spider-Man and Daredevil villain. But I always viewed it as like, I view him as a sleazy New York mobster who's trying to, be essentially the Kingpin of the Sonic universe. So I went fully in on that, New York Italian mobster vibe.
He's the type of guy who you don't want to cross, because if you cross him, he'll know how to find you.
And so it really dives into that more sinister side, because you can talk about all the different ways that you're going to do horrible things. And it's like,
When I find you, you're gonna regret that you were ever born. I'm gonna make sure that you don't even realize how badly you've screwed up.
it's one of those things where you can talk a big game and sound like you mean it. That accent, that characterization, I've always associated with Clutch, because the way he talks is like, the people who cross me aren't foolish enough, or the people who know me know they're not foolish enough to cross me. And if those who don't, they won't make it out alive. He's the kind of guy who he will find a way to make you regret your decisions. So I like playing that sort of sinister power that, even though he's an older guy, he's clearly an older guy. He's not, as young as he was when he started all this, but he has more than he could find a way to kill you in 100 different ways, and he has like 100 different ways to take care of a problem, and you're not one of them. You're not a problem. He can handle you easily, and he doesn't even have to try. He doesn't even have to lift a finger. He has people who can do it for him. So that's why I always, with Clutch, kind of devolve into the mobster route, and it's been so much fun to voice him. I love that sleazy slime ball opossum. I love to voice him. He's so much fun. And that's kind of how I discovered my voice for him, is just doing that. But that's kind of the basic gist of all three of the ones I'm most known for.
Is there a particular reason why you like voicing villains a lot?
So, with villains, the thing is, like, heroes always fall into a certain category. Heroes are going to be the type of people who, like, I'm bound by doing the right thing. Your character is always like Sonic. He's free as the wind. He's carefree. He has a bit of cockiness to him, but overall, he's not the type of person who would just, let all the rules fall by the wayside to do whatever the heck he wants. Instead, Sonic has a code he follows, He'll always be giving Eggman second chances. Eggman? No, I don't give anybody second chances. I'm going to do what I want, and I'm going to be crazy about it. Villains are always so much fun to play because more often than not, they're insane. And you don't have to follow the same rules that heroes do, because you're not following a hero's journey. You're opposing it. You're the thing that stands in the way of what the hero wants to do. You're like, no, what you want to do is directly opposed to what I want, and I'm going to be the thing that stops you from doing it, because if you do that, then I can't do what I want. And villains' character growth is a lot of the time focused around their end goal, and that's preventing what the hero is trying to do. So you have to be diametrically opposed to that. So I always try to say, okay, what's the hero and what's the villain? How do they view each other? How is their interaction going to be? What is the opposite of what the hero's doing? And most times, if you have a hero who's rational, focused, driven, the villain is utterly insane, chaotic, and lives off of the thrill of causing chaos. Most of the time, like, look at it as a stereotypical archetype of Batman and the Joker. The Joker is the perfect villain for Batman because Batman is calm, collected, rational. He has rules. He has a code. Joker, none of that applies. He could kill someone on the dime. He could rob banks, cause chaos, burn buildings, anything he wants, because it's all for the sake of his own chaotic fun. And that's why they're perfect foils for each other. That's what I like to do with villains, and why I love playing them so much, because you get to be and have fun with voicing this crazy character. Or if you're playing a more reserved villain who's the opposite of, like, say, an energetic hero, then that can be fun too, because it's like, okay, I get to be this kind of evil, but in a more calm, collected way. Like, look at, for instance, Deku and Shigaraki. Deku's energetic, he's hopeful. Shigaraki is traumatized, crazy, and also very reserved and inward focused. He has this ability to, while he can be absolutely deranged and crazy, he's also calculating. He's also he's cold. He can keep to himself, and he can be smart about it. And that's what I love about it. That's why I love villains so much. They're so much fun to play because you have such a big sandbox to play in.
Ooh, that's a very interesting answer. I'd love to hear your take on this, Ultimate, especially with how you play Dr. Starline, since Dr. Starline is technically a villain.
Villains for me are a really great way to make choices in the character that I know for a fact I would never make in real life. I like it's playing to my evil side, so it's kind of like a way to like explore that like negative dark side. And I get to do that with Starline because Starline has done heinous things, manipulation, assault and battery, kidnapping children, the whole 9 yards. He's not a great guy. But like he is definitely like when I play him, it's so much fun because I am playing a character that is truly an opposite of me. He does not care whether you live or die. He does not care what your plans are. All he cares about is ruling the world and proving to himself to Eggman that hey, I'm better. You should do this instead of that and all that. So he'll do anything to achieve that goal, and he will use you and will discard you once you're done. So it's such. So like Kelp's same points as Kelp, I would say. Like he's kind of really described what it's like to voice a villain. It's the same for Starlight. It's liberating in a way where you're just exploring that negativity and just playing around with it. Like it's a big old sandbox. Yeah.
Okay. Now, Cope, I would like to dive into the way you and Sydney portray both Silver and Blaze's dynamic. Did you two come up with a specific way of how they interact with each other? Like, how did that all resonate and evolve? 'Cause I know you two have a very unique way of portraying of how they interact with each other and how they bounce off of each other.
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, first off, all props to Sydney. She is like the greatest Blaze to work with ever. She is incredible at what she does, and she does Blaze in a way that I have never seen anyone else do it. She is like the queen of this. And
Yeah, she's really good.
with Sydney, a lot of it kind of over the course of our time in Revo together, we sort of formed this dynamic with Silver and Blaze. And it's really just like, Silver balances out what Blaze doesn't have, and Blaze balances out what Silver doesn't have. Essentially, my Revo Silver is energetic. He's fun, he's rambunctious, he's naive, he doesn't know everything, but he's the type of guy who will be, he's going to be the one who's more loud, more pronounced. He's going to be like, yeah, let's have some fun, Blaze, let's do it. And then Blaze will be like, no, maybe we should just wait. We should be cautious. We should be restrained. So they have that balancing act where, she is playing the more calm, rational, reserved character, and Silver is this big bundle of energy that gets her to kind of come out of her shell a little bit, and kind of he brings out the best in her and the fun in her that she brings out the seriousness in him and the ability to think like a true hero would think because she rules a kingdom, that sort of stuff. And we've talked, a lot about how we portray Silver and Blaze, and we've practiced portraying Silver and Blaze so many times in directing sessions for different projects with Gabs and with things like that, with Sylvain's projects. We've done a lot of just bouncing off of each other as these characters and forming more of a dynamic to the point where it's kind of falling in line with a very natural. We view it as it's a very natural friendship that we've formed, not even just as Silver and Blaze, but as ourselves. We kind of, you put ourselves aside and let the characters speak through you. It's like, how would these two characters interact realistically as a realistic friendship if they were in the same room together just talking about some random scenario? Let's say, oh, there's a party coming up and we need to make some kind of dessert. Blaze is going to try to make cookies. Silver is like, oh yeah, I'll help you, absolutely. And Blaze is like, no, the last time I did it, I burned the cookies. They sucked. I don't want to make everyone, barf up their food again. And Silver's like, no, come on, I'll teach you. I'll show you the way. Because he's going to be diving right in. And it's that balancing act that makes the character so special, and just the bond I have with Sydney of voicing these characters together is just us capitalizing on that dynamic, because we both see that this character's had a lot of potential in '06, and while '06 does great at writing for what they're writing for, the story they're going for, it's not like a regular scenario that you would find in any normal like sitcom or something. We view it as like, oh, if these two characters were in a sitcom, how would this go? This is essentially how we do it. And we put them in realistic situations that make it to where it seems like, hey, this isn't necessarily just Silver and Blaze. This could be just Tom and Sally down the street. This could be any person whatsoever just having this realistic conversation. It just so happens to be Silver and Blaze. And it's been such a fun dynamic to explore and to keep going, and I will voice with Sydney until the end of time if she will permit me to. So anytime she needs me for anything as Silver, I'm always happy to jump in, because I love voicing these characters with her, and that dynamic is something I hold close to my heart. It's something so special, and I really enjoy voicing it with her.
Now, what was it like to meet her in person for the first time at Revo?
Oh man. So kind of like with Ultimate, I mean, I'd voiced with her for so long in so many different projects, and I'd never actually met her in person. So it's like, how do you meet this person who's like so amazing and wonderful, and just she always gives off the vibe like she is the nicest person in the room regardless of whoever's in the room. Like, you could have Keanu Reeves in the same room as Sydney, and Sydney would probably still be the nicest person in the room. And it's just so fun, because when I finally met her, I was like, okay, I'm gonna go up to her and I'm gonna immediately do some Silver so she can spot me out of the crowd. And it was so great. James, of course, my good buddy, he props to him for sticking by my side and catching all this stuff on video, because if I didn't have him, I don't know what I'd do. But he videoed it, and it was so fun. We immediately gave each other a big firm handshake and gave ourselves a hug, and it was so great. I got to talking with her, and it's just like, yeah, we may be, disembodied voices in Discord, but even in the same room, it's very clear that it is me and it's Sydney, and our Silver and Blaze kind of shine through in that. We've sort of, I feel like, developed a bond similar to Silver and Blaze over the course of just voicing them. So it's been a lot of fun, really.
Now, from your own personal experiences, how has voice acting evolved over time? Like not just the equipment, but like in technique and how you learned it and so forth.
Well, Ultimate, I'll let you go first.
Like how has our voice acting like evolved?
Yeah, like from the equipment you use to like
Okay.
how you've improved on it over time and how you've
Okay,
learned it over time.
So I first started with a plug-in mic and my phone. That's how I first started. And I used that for a tiny little bit. I used it in some early projects, like my first ever character sampler, my first comic dub. I think the first episode of, no, not the first episode of my series. I got a Fifine mic, a USB Fifine mic that I used for. I actually recently just replaced because it was finally going out. But I had that thing for like almost 6 years. So, um, so I had that, and I did a heck of a bunch of different projects. But then, but I used to be my go-to recording mic, and then Cash was like, you need to upgrade to an XLR. I'm like, oh, what's that? And she explained what it was, and she recommended me the mic she uses, which is an Aston Origin, which I will recommend every day of the week. So I was like, oh, okay. So
I also recommended, because I got it before he did, and then I said, hey, you got to get this mic too.
Yeah, that's true. Again, remember Vegeta versus Goku kind of mentality. So
Cashlin got me hooked on it, and I got him hooked on
Kakarot,
it.
Kakarot got Super Saiyan 2, so I got to get Super Saiyan 2. I got the mic, and so the Fifine became just my regular computer mic that I used to communicate with people. Then my Aston Origin became the recording mic that I would record off of. And then I started using Audacity. I've been using Audacity for everything, and I used to use when I used to do things on my laptop, my old MacBook. I would use the standard video software, which was like iMovie, I think, which worked very well for what I needed. And then I switched to iMovie to Shotcut, which is what I use all the time. I haven't gone to anything else. I've tried using other interfaces. I don't understand it. Shotcut has exactly what I need for what I'm doing. And then, I've used, I have a program, I think it's Krita, that I use for editing like comic panels and making thumbnails and stuff, which is really nice. And then so the microphone I'm using currently for my computer mic, forget the brand. What is it? It's dark, so I can't really see the front of it. It's a Maono, ouch, mic. Because it's just a USB mic, kind of it's similar in quality with the Fifine, I think. But it has a little more features to it where I can control, like, it has a gain function on it, which I like better than the other one that I had. So yeah, so I haven't really improved my other mic, the Aston, because this thing has served me well and it sounds incredible. Also nice that I kind of barely use it, so that's why it's probably lasted this long. So, but yeah, then all the vocal work I've done is just years and years and years of voicing a bunch of characters, trying to surpass Kelp over here, and yeah, that's pretty much my equipment journey. So yeah, Kelp.
Yeah, so I mean, when I first started, I was on my phone, and I will say this, don't let anybody tell you that you can't start on a phone, because you can. I'm living proof of it. Um, but obviously you're going to want to upgrade. I wouldn't ever say stay with a phone mic, it'll do wonders. No, absolutely don't. uh, but you can get your start with that. I did. Um, but I upgraded to an Aston Origin like immediately. Like, okay, Cashlyn's been doing this for longer than I have, and she recommends this. I'm gonna get this. That's the one I got. That's the one I use, and I've used it ever since, and it's been great. But as it comes to just how voice acting has changed, and particularly my process, a lot of the times I'm constantly looking at other performances of other people. Like, I'm looking at new shows that come out. If they interest me, I look at the performances of different people who, oh, if I know this voice actor is in something else, I compare their performance in this version versus this version. Like, for instance, Bryce Papenbrook. He's a vocal chameleon. He's been in so many different shows, and I'll always hear him as Kirito from Sword Art Online because that's the first show I watched that he voiced in, that I knew he voiced in. So every time I hear him, it's like, okay, it's Bryce Papenbrook, it's Kirito. Every time I hear him voice Silver, it's like, oh, that's Kirito. But then I heard him voicing Nosuke, and I'm like, this is the first time I've heard Bryce Papenbrook sound different than when he voices Kirito. And every time I hear him voice Inosuke, I'm like, yeah, that's Bryce Papenbrook, but that's not Kirito. That's Inosuke. And I kind of look into, okay, what makes it different? How does he do things differently? And it's really interesting to see the process that people do for different voices. So with Bryce, a lot of the times he talks about how he prepares himself for voicing Inosuke is he will laugh like a maniac and scream in traffic and just get really angry on the way to the recording booth. He'll just sound like this maniacal. He's talked about, he wonders if people in cars will like look his way when they see him cackling like a maniac and driving through traffic, because that's how he performs for Inosuke, or how he prepares to perform for Inosuke. But another thing that actually recently came out, and I highly recommend you look into it, there is a Star Wars series called Maul Shadow Lord. And Sam Witwer, amazing voice actor, by the way, he is the voice of Maul. And Disney released on their Twitter, or Star Wars released on their Twitter, how Sam Witwer kind of gets into voicing Maul and how he gets into the headspace of voicing Maul, and he has a thing of green apples, and he eats green apples, and like after he eats the green apple, he immediately just shifts into Maul, and it's like you can hear it in his voice, the gravel there and everything like that. It's like, oh wow, that is really cool. So everyone has their own methods.
Wait, he
of
doesn't do
doing
it
things.
naturally? Sam Witwer eats a bunch of green apples?
Yeah, no, they released a video about it. It's like how Sam Witwer gets into like character as Maul, like and stuff like that. And
But why
he
green
has a plate of
apples?
green apples. He takes a bite of one, and then he immediately shifts into his Maul.
What
And
the
it's like,
crap?
oh wow,
How?
that's crazy.
I don't do that.
So anyway, and another thing that Bryce Papenbrook does with like Inosuke is he drinks like bitter coffee, or like really bitter coffee, because he's like, you
Dang.
know, he wants to like get down here, you know, with Inosuke you got to get down here. He's very low, he's very energetic, and then laughing like a maniac is what gets him to his crazy bits. But with Sam Witwer, it's so interesting to see that with his Maul. So it was interesting. So people have different methods, different ways that they get into it. So like with Silver and Shadow, I have different ways that I get into it with Silver and Shadow, and with Clutch. With Clutch, I basically go the Godfather route, and I just say like, I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse, and that kind of gets me into character. Is like that's the line that kind of does it. Is I'm gonna make him an offer that he can't refuse, and that kind of gets it into perspective. With Shadow, it's different because like Shadow, I could feel like I could turn on at any moment, because
Yeah.
Shadow just, you know, taking my normal voice, pitching it down a bit, and then adding in a bit more emphasis on certain sounds and certain ways that I'm saying things, until finally I sound like Shadow. And, you know, I finally end up being the ultimate life form. So with Shadow, it's kind of like that. And Silver, my natural voice, a lot of people say sounds like Silver. They say my natural voice, like, even if I wasn't doing a character voice, they say my voice could be a good Silver as it is, which is awesome, and I love that. But basically, I feel like Silver has a little bit of rasp to him, so I kind of throw in this little hiccup bit that I do. You know, he's you know, he's a Viking. He's all that, and then I add a bit of pitch to it, and then, you know, sort of, hey, I'm in Silver now. What do you know? It's great. And that's kind of what I do with Silver.
Now, I know you both are also casting director. What's that like from your personal experience compared to being a voice actor?
Kane from the Amazing Digital Circus. That's how I feel like. No, but for real.
How many
It's-
times people don't read the instructions, and it makes me just
yeah, we have
But
to deal
anyway.
with a bunch of that. We have to deal with jokesters. We have to deal with people that just sound awful. And squeakers. Don't forget the squeakers.
The squeakers are naturally there, but oh my gosh, there was one there was one on the recent casting call for Revo. They
That we still need to
literally
finish.
recorded some line from, I think, a Taylor Swift song. And
Yeah.
you can hear in the background the dad literally saying, "Yeah." And it's like, what are you auditioning for? What is this? Did you like what are you doing? Because it's like, do you think you saying "bang bang babe" is gonna get you a no? You didn't even read. It's just really funny. And some people obviously put joke auditions in, and those are, I get a kick out of those, because it's like funny to hear someone like, oh, Cream the Rabbit, and they sound like Black Doom. And then
Yeah.
or they're voicing for movie Shadow, and they sound like Cream the Rabbit. And it's really funny. But anyway, you continue, Ultimate.
Yeah, no, so it's kind of a similar thing for me, because yeah, there's the joys of being able to sit down with people and direct them on what you're looking for. Like, hey, I'm looking for this, I'm looking for that. I need you to do a little more of this, a little more of that. Tone it back. Like, it's a lot of fun, just kind of tweaking to it to what you need to do. And then you get people that, you know, don't listen. They don't read the instructions. It's those kind of people you don't hire, and you got to catch them in the beginning. You have to look out for the signs. So yeah, that's the kind of directing that we deal with, and it's kind of directing I deal with as well in my projects and stuff. It's actually to the point now where I don't have to do casting calls anymore. Not too much because I know so many people that I would love to cast as these characters. I don't like it's very rare now that I find a character that I need a voice for. That I'm like, I don't know how to voice this. Time to open up a casting call. I only do that when I know many different people who can do it. And I'm like, I can't decide. Casting call. So that's what I usually do when I need characters and stuff.
Another thing that I like to look at when it comes to casting directing and like things like that, an important thing is like I don't want to just be the guy who makes the decision and say like, okay, you're cast. I want to be the guy that helps you bring out the best version of that character that you can bring out. So a lot of the times what I like to do is, if I'm casting someone or if I'm directing someone, I want to, review what they've done, take what they've offered and give feedback and stuff like this, which with the Revo casting calls, one of the things I did with our Revo cast who have already been casted and stuff like that, and they wanted to do that as I had feedback sessions. I said, hey, I'm going to take some time, sit in a voice call. If you want feedback on what you uploaded or what auditions you did, I'd be happy to give you kind of my 2 cents and stuff like that. And keep in mind, this is just my opinion. I'm only one of 3 casting directors, so the others could say something completely differently versus what I would say. So like what I think is good may not be what Andrew thinks is good or what Ultimate thinks is good. But I try to be there to help, to encourage, and to really say like, hey, you're casted for a reason, and every take is valid, but I want to help you get to that next level to really embody what we're looking for, because the important thing is embodying the character. So if I can help in any small way in my minor experience as some random person on the internet who voices a couple of characters in some Sonic projects, and yet people put their trust in me to be this voice for them for casting and ideas of how they should direct their voice, that's a lot of responsibility, and I take that seriously. I want to make sure that I'm doing right by them and not just saying all the things I need to say. So if I have to give constructive criticism, I'll give constructive criticism. If I need to, say, hey, let's retake this, then I'll say that. If I give them rehearsal, I'll give them rehearsal, and I'll help with that as much as I can, because I know they're casted for a reason. I want you to do the best you can do. So I try to be helpful is another thing. I don't want to be the guy who's just like, yeah, you're cast, go do things, have fun. No, because then the product would be terrible. We want to make sure that it's truly feels like there's passion in this.
I think I can get 2 more questions in. So we all know improv is a very important aspect of voice acting. Can you go more into how you specifically do your improv? Like, what is your improv like? What do you do to get ready for it, to execute it, things like that?
Can I be completely honest with you when it comes to improv?
Sure.
I do absolutely nothing. No prep. No nothing. Because true improv is completely and utterly random.
Why?
Because if you prepare for the improv, it's not really improv. Because you've got So I don't really prepare or do anything. I'm like, whatever happens, happens. And I will go along with it as best I can. Now, you would think that means for me, I have the most potential of everybody to break character when something really funny comes up. That is not always true. I've actually developed a really good ability to play into that humor and laugh as the character. So, a testament to how far I've grown as a voice actor, I think. And that's an ability I hope everybody can learn. Because I am a true believer that everything is improv. Our conversation right now, this is improv. We didn't plan this at all. There's no script or nothing. So, that's what I do when I go to in-character improv, because I just play it as a character. Whatever they say, I got to think of something on the fly to react to. So yeah, that's how I prepare for improv. I don't.
How about you, Kelp? Is there anything in particular that you do when it comes to improv?
I mean, you can practice for improv all the live long day, but every improv scenario is going to be different. You're never going to have the same thing twice, unless you're specifically trying to get the same thing twice, which you won't because it's not true improv if you are. But essentially, what I do is, the ultimate rule of improv is yes anding. You have to go with what is given and roll off of that in a natural way to keep the conversation flowing and keep everything rolling and stay in character as best as you can. There's been times where I've broken character. I mean, let's be honest, who hasn't? But
Yeah.
the ultimate rule is that you just have to take what situation you're given, react in the best way that you can, and based upon like how your character would react in this scenario. Let's say Shadow, for instance, he's not a very humor-filled character. He's going to always react more serious and more down to earth than say Sonic is. So Sonic will be cracking jokes and making all this other stuff up, and Shadow's going to be like, "Will you quit this? Will you knock it off and treat things seriously for once in your life?" And Shadow would call him out on it. But he could still yes and try to come back at Sonic like saying, "Oh, well, I think I'm the best because I eat this chili dog and it's way better than whatever Shadow has." And Shadow's like, "No, Faker, I do this and it's way better because I'm the ultimate life form." And you can't kind of play off of that. The scenarios you're given are your best clues into how you can perform the next scene. Use what you're given to elevate it even further. That's how you do it with improv. That's the true nature of improv is yes and. So when it comes to improv, that's what I try to embody is yes and. Keep the conversation going. Roll with the punches. Now, obviously, if there's something so blatantly out of character that it just doesn't make sense, I wouldn't go off of that. Like, for instance, someone says, oh, Shadow all of a sudden is going to be, like, really happy and really charismatic and things like that. No, that's not Shadow. That's not who he is. That's not his character. I'm not going to do that as him unless it's like for a bit or in sarcasm. Like, I'm not going to be Shadow who's going to be like, "Oh, it's all right. You're doing your best." No, Shadow would be the type of guy to call you out and say, "You should do better considering you're a hero." So it's really a matter of yes anding, but in the case of the scenario. Silver, I could roll with anything because Silver is Silver and Silver is just my little goofball and I love him.
Now, my final question is, what is one thing that each of you would like to say to the next generation who is getting into voice acting now?
That's a good question.
What was the question?
Ultimate.
What was the question?
What is one thing you would like to say to the next generation who is getting into voice acting now?
You're going to fail a lot. In fact, you're not going to be the best. Like it's part of life. Voice acting is literally the mindset of going the actual work is not actually the role. The work is the auditions. And you do auditions for free. That's just the way it is. You're going to be auditioning all over the place. And you're going to get a lot of no's. And the icing on the cake is when you get the role and get paid for it. Now, there's a blessing in that because what if you went and auditioned for a character that the voice director didn't think you were good for? But that voice director liked your voice and liked what you did, and he knows a guy that actually is looking for that kind of voice. And that voice director will go to that voice director and go, "Hey, I know a guy who just auditioned for me for this character. I'm going to pass his audition on to you. I think he's a good fit for your role." That's actually how Carrie Payton became known for, like Cyborg and what else did he voice in, like Cyborg, and he mentioned I met him at a convention.
Cyborg is what he's most known for.
Yeah, Cyborg and like two other characters that he is well known for and has actually like paid all his bills. I asked him this question, like, "Okay, what do you do in auditioning a lot and whatever?" He's like, I auditioned for like 200 different things, and I didn't get any of them except these three characters: Cyborg, what he did for I think Big Hero 6, and the Mario movie, where he was the Penguin, the King Penguin. Um, and other roles besides that. He was like, I auditioned for everything else. I didn't get it, but those other roles were stepping stools to other roles that I've done. Like, it probably I'm not. This is
Other notable role he had was
Yeah, help me out
he
here.
was King Ezekiel in The Walking Dead.
Right.
Like the actual show itself. That was actual acting though. It wasn't
Right.
just voice acting, it was
I know.
acting.
But his point was like all these auditions led to somewhere, because although I didn't get the roles I auditioned for, all these other directors were talking to each other and they shared people that they auditioned with. So yeah, that's why auditions are so important. You want to get your name known? Audition everywhere, every role, every player, every line, every voice. Audition the heck out of everything. Sure, you're not getting paid for it, but when you land that role and it's by somebody going up to you like, hey, I heard you from this other guy who passed me on to this other guy, and they think you're really good for this role. Would you mind auditioning for this? That's one of the greatest things that could have happened to you. That's how I've actually sometimes been picked up by other roles, was through word of mouth. They're like, hey, somebody told me you'd be good for this role. It was there was this one project, I think it was for Antoine. Somebody came up to me and said, hey, I heard you from this role, and I think you'd be perfect for it. I'm like, oh, okay. So yeah, so don't think that since you failed one audition, you're never going to get picked up for another role. Failure is life's greatest teacher. It teaches you to pick yourself back up and to move forward. So don't lose hope. Audition, audition, audition.
And how about you, Cal?
Yeah, I mean, like my original thought was going to be, fail often and fail spectacularly, because it takes a village to get to where you need to be. And, if you won't ever learn anything from succeeding immediately. You will only ever learn from your failures. Now, you'll learn a lot from success, but you won't learn anything if you're constantly succeeding. You're going to think, well, what I'm doing works. You're not going to strive to improve yourself. You're going to strive to maintain you're going to strive to maintain, not to be better. But the piece of advice I would say is, the one thing I've learned over the course of my time voice acting is that you will always be your own worst critic. You will think what I'm doing is not good enough. What I'm doing sounds awful. What I'm doing, I can't portray this. I sound like a dying cat. It's essentially, when I first got into voice acting, I had to get over the sound of my own voice when I listened back to my own takes, because obviously we hold ourselves to a certain standard, and you're going to think that, oh, what I'm doing sounds awful. It's so bad. But you're not the director. You are the one who's auditioning for this role, and the director is going to hear your take, and they're going to be the one who decides whether you're a good fit or not. Now, later on down the line, if you're the one who's directing, it's up to your own discretion. But by that point, you're probably at a point where you've gotten into some roles and you've learned to get over the way that your voice sounds, because you only got one voice. So how you are is how you are. You're going to hear your voice in every character you do, whether you do an accent or not. And you're going to have to get used to the sound of your own voice if you want to get anywhere. So you will always be your own worst critic and think that you're not doing things right. But I encourage you to fail spectacularly and often. Fail spectacularly and often. Don't always strive to succeed. Strive to, even if you fail, learn from it. Say, okay, I may not have made it here, but what can I do to make it better? What can I use from this as experience for another take? Does my silver sound bad? How do I improve it? What do other people do? How can I compare it to this other thing and try to make it better? Do I need to be more natural of my voice, or try to emulate the character's previous voice actor more? You're never going to get anywhere if you just constantly think that you are succeeding. Because if you stay in that state, you're only going to strive to maintain. You want to always try to be better than what you are. So never try to strive for what's great and what works for you. Always try to improve, always try to be better. You're your own worst critic, and you can only get over that yourself, because you have to just learn to get over that. That's always what I would say is the best piece of advice I can give. And to fail spectacularly and often.
Oh, great words of advice indeed. Well, I would like to thank you two very, very much for coming, and thank you everybody in the audience for coming. And Leah, I will let you come up and announce tomorrow's panel for the Spring Festival.
Yes, we have a lot of panels tomorrow. But I'm going to announce them. Tomorrow at 12 p.m. PT, 3 p.m. ET is Content Creators Showcase with Sonic Paradox. So we will be having the Wax Boozerman, Zero Nick, and Celeste Orion here to represent Sonic Paradox. And then at 1 p.m. PT, 4 p.m. ET is Artist Showcase with eBay. And then at 2 p.m. PT, 5 p.m. ET is Sonic and the Sovereigns of the Emeralds with Jessica. And then at 4 p.m. PT, 7 p.m. ET is Ask Sonic and Friends, Sonic the VTuber and Cast. And then at 5 p.m. PT, 8 p.m. ET's Content Creators Showcase with Celestia. And to end off, at 6 p.m. PT, 9 p.m. ET is Artist Showcase with CJ Destroya. Yeah, we have a lot of panels tomorrow.
Sounds like fun.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
All right.
and Leah, before we end off, is there anything you want us to say as our characters?
Which ones?
That's a
Yeah,
good question. That's why I'm asking her.
I guess probably like Clutch and Starline. We don't get to hear them that often.
Well, for those of you tuning in, thanks for listening to these two idiots ramble on about how much they hate each other and suck at voice acting. We really appreciate you taking time out of your day to listen to these fools blather on and be stupid.
Thank you for stopping by and giving us your patronage. I know we're probably not worth your time, and I'm very glad you were able to stop by. So please enjoy the rest of your night or day or wherever you live, and we'll see you next time, maybe in another issue.
Of course, maybe next time. But, you know, we're worth their time. Those two idiots, nah. They're not worth it.
No, of course not, of course not.
They suck.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I want
Thanks
to
for
thank
having us. It's
you.
great.
Yeah, I want to thank you both for coming on because I know we do have other Voices of Sonic Revolution panels for Serenity Spring Festival as well, and this will be posted on my YouTube channel for those who missed it too.
Yay. That's fantastic. Oh, man. Okay.
Yeah. Bye everyone.
Bye-bye.
So long.